Hiya, so this is the Key Stage 3 Life Skills lesson, and we're going to be looking today at the Skills Builder Universal Framework, and we're going to focus in on a particular skill. So the essential skills are listening, speaking, problem solving, creativity, staying positive, aiming high, leadership and teamwork. And this week we're looking at listening. So in a nutshell, listening is receiving, retaining and processing information or ideas. And you need to be able to do it effectively, whether it's talking to customers, colleagues, stakeholders, classmates, teachers, parents, friends. First of all, you need to learn to listen to others effectively, remembering instructions, understanding why people are communicating with you, and learning how to record the important information. Each skill is broken down into steps. And I think steps 1 and 2, you're looking at how to listen to others and remember simple instructions, questioning to check your understanding, recalling and retelling longer pieces of information. I think you can all do that. So I think we need to start with step 3. So listening to others and telling people what they were talking about. So the building blocks, what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to listen effectively and stay focused. You need to be able to retain and process the information that you've been given and then recall and explain it to someone else. So things you need to think about. How do you make sure you're listening? How do you make sure that you're staying focused? How can you try and remember if I'm giving you lots of information or a series of instructions or a story? How can you remember? When is this easier? When is this more difficult? When are you good at recalling the information you've heard? And how do you pick out what are the most important things to share? So, previous steps, we looked at how to listen effectively and stay focused. So again, I think you're all capable of this, and it's about when you choose to do this. So step 1, you need to learn to stop. Stop anything that might be a distraction. We go on about this at school a lot. Your phone. If you are on your phone, you are not fully focused. You are not able to listen. So put it away. If someone is talking to you, put it away. If you've got stationery in your hand or a fiddle toy or something that generally helps you focus, there are times when it can become a distraction, and you need to recognize when that is, and you need to make that choice. So some people do need something to keep their hands busy while they're focusing, but if it's making a noise or it's taking your attention off the speaker, it is a distraction. So stop those things. Focus. Actually look at the speaker. And I know some people don't like to make eye contact, but we need to be not staring at other things and thinking about other things. So the best thing to do is to look at the speaker. Your brain needs to be in a place that's actively trying to remember what's being said. You can't be thinking about other things. And what I find frustrating as a teacher is I can't help you with that. Only you can do that. Okay? So you've got to try and focus. And then the final one is to repeat. So whatever's been said to you, your brain, you need to process it. You need to pick out key pieces and repeat it in your head. So make sure it's actually sunk in. So, how to retain and process information. You can't remember everything I've said. You can't remember everything anyone said to you word for word. And when you do try and recall it, you're not trying to do that. Instead, you've got to think about how you can pick out key pieces. So you can either relate it to something you already know. So listen to what someone said and fit it into an already existing conceptual framework. So, I know about that geographical place, or I know about that time in history and link it, or I know about that concept in science, or I've seen something like that, and you link it to something. Alternatively, you can turn it into your own story or your own sequence, and it's a really good way of storing information. That's a really useful revision technique where you build a story based on the information that you've been given. You make a story up, but it helps you remember. And finally, you link it to an emotion. So you think about the implications and the feelings and what's been heard, and you use that emotion to help you process. And sometimes it's only a very quick thing to process the information, but using that time effectively to think is really, really useful. And then finally, if you haven't had time to process, it is really, really hard to recall and share. So you're not going to share exactly as you heard it. You're going to process it yourself, pick out the key points and share the idea, the concepts. If you have had time to process it, you might have already turned it into a story. You might have linked it with other concepts or linked it with other experiences, and you can then use those to explain to your listeners why or how it's important. You need to decide what the most important bits of information are, and that will depend on the situation. So it's not always as easy as picking out keywords or chronological order. You need to decide what the best process is. So in education, we are talking to you a lot. We expect you to build ideas, so we expect you to think back to things we taught you previously and build on them. So it's really important that you remember extended pieces of information. You might have to listen to your teacher, you might have to watch a lecture, you might have to view information. And when you get a new idea, you need to take that time to think about it and then also discuss it with someone, and that helps embed the knowledge. When you focus on the key points, you can recall more of it. It helps it sink in, it helps it stay in your head, and this can be really, really helpful if you're revising or you want to help others understand something. When you leave school, this is really important. So you'll be working in a team often, and sometimes you might not be able to go to a meeting or a presentation or a call, but you might have ideas that are discussed in someone's absence, and we need to get other people involved. We need to tell them what was talked about or get someone's opinion. It's really important that you can listen carefully and share what was heard. Sometimes someone might pass on some helpful feedback and you need to share that with your teammates. They might share something positive that happened or something negative, a complaint, and you've got to share that information. Time is really important at work, and being time efficient. So the quicker and the more effectively you can do this, the better it is. Obviously, in your lives, it's important that you listen to people to make them feel valued. You might be part of a club, a family, your friends. Whatever you do, people feel that they need to be heard. But it's also important for you that you listen to instructions and you know what to do and how to behave. So you might have to be supporting other people in helping them to become more involved, or you might want to share ideas and input things to guide a conversation or lead people to a different conclusion. So again, you need to choose the key points and share them accurately. So we're going to practice this skill. So we're going to do a few exercises now to practice the skill of listening, okay? And we're going to, some of you, these activities are done as a group. You may be at home, you may have no one else around, so hopefully I'm going to be able to guide you through how to build these skills. So what you're going to do now is you're going to have a go. You're going to choose one of the methods, to remember how to pick out the key information in extended talk. So either linking it to something you know, turning it into a sequence or story, or considering how it makes you feel. We're going to listen to some sound clips, and you're going to choose one of those methods and have a think about how you can remember as much as possible about that sound clip. So, sound clip 1.
To make cupcakes. First, turn on the oven. Next, tip the butter into a bowl and mix it until soft. Then, add the sugar, flour, salt, eggs, and milk, and whisk until the mixture is smooth. Pour the mixture into the paper cases. Place them in the oven and bake for 15 minutes until the cupcakes are a light golden colour. Remove them from the oven and leave the cupcakes to cool.
So, I want you to think about how would be the best way to recall as much information from that as possible. So you could link it to a recipe you already know. You could think, well, I already know how to make cupcakes, but this was different because they added this. You could turn it into a sequence, or you consider how each ingredient makes you feel. Now, personally, I think I would go with turning it into a sequence, and I would start to make notes. So I would write down keywords. For example, the phrase whisk until it's smooth. You don't need all those words. You don't need to repeat all those words. You could just pick out the word whisk and remember. So you could write almost a sequence of instructions, sequence of one-word instructions for each step. Okay, I want you to think now at sound clip 2, and again I want you to make notes, and I want you to have a go at noting down the key points, and then we're going to have a look at comparing what you got. If you can, repeat back in as much detail as possible what happened in sound clip 2.
To make pancakes. Put the flour, eggs, milk, vegetable oil and a pinch of salt into a bowl, then whisk to a smooth batter. Set to one side for 30 minutes to rest. Then, Heat a frying pan and add some oil. When the frying pan is hot, cook your pancakes for 1 minute on each side until golden. Serve with lemon wedges and caster sugar or your favourite filling.
Okay, I want you to spend a couple of minutes now just looking at your notes, having a go at repeating back to me what you thought the detail, the important bits of sound clip 2 were, and then we're going to compare by looking at the script. So have a look at your notes, see if you need to add anything, see if you want to change anything. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that, and then we'll look at the script. So this is what you were actually told. To make pancakes, put the flour, eggs, milk, vegetable oil and a pinch of salt into a bowl, whisk to a smooth batter. Set to one side for 30 minutes and rest if you have time. Heat a frying pan, add some oil. When it's hot, cook your pancakes for 1 minute on each side until golden. Serve with lemon wedges and caster sugar or your favourite fillings. Have a look at your notes. Is there anything vital you missed out of that? Again, it doesn't matter if you missed the odd word, it's the ideas, the concept. If you followed the instructions that you had, would you have made good pancakes? Hopefully so. So, how can you remember parts of a long speech, or series of instructions, or a story? When is it easier or more difficult? Think about the different methods you use to remember what you heard, which method suits you better and why. And then I want you to think about how you're going to use this within the next week. Okay, so I happen to know that you're going to have lots of online lessons being delivered to you in the next week. You're going to be given lots of information and you're going to be having a go at making notes and recording what you've learned. So you are definitely going to be using this skill. We also have online masterclasses going on where Helen's going to be teaching you to cook. So you could be watching that video and making notes, or watching that video and picking out the key information and following it. So those are the things that I want you to do for this week. So your task today, I want you to find a piece of A4 paper. If you haven't got any, you can very carefully cut a page out of your book. And I want you to listen to these instructions, and you'll have got some visual clues as well to help you here. But you're going to listen to these instructions and you're going to first of all make a pair of origami sunglasses. Obviously we want to see pictures, evidence that you did this. I want to see brilliant pictures of you wearing your sunglasses. But you're going to try and follow this instructional video to make these sunglasses. Your second task, and this is a bit more complicated, is to pick out the key points, the key instructions, and try and write a set of instructions that you could give then to someone else to mean that they could make these origami sunglasses without having watched this video. So if you would like, you could recreate this video if you're happy to be on camera and you want to film yourself, and again it would be great to see that. But you're going to make the sunglasses and then have another go at writing down the instructions and asking someone else if they can follow them.
All right, so we're going to make the traditional origami sunglasses. This is a pretty simple model to make, but I will still go slow enough and try to be very clear in my step-by-step explanation. Here we go. I'm starting off with American letter printer paper. And our first fold is going to be corner to corner. So I'm going to take this corner down here, and I'm going to line it up with this corner and then crease across. So lining that up, put a finger on that, draw back, then I will crease all the way across. What's nice is you don't have to be super critical with this model. It'll still work. All right, for our second fold, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole section here, so this line, and I'm going to line it up with this line here. Let's take this, line that up there, and I will crease that back. Then I'm going to open this up all the way. Now you're going to notice we have these are valley folds. That's a valley fold, but we have one mountain fold. And what we need to do is we need to reverse that. So we're going to take the valley side, and then we're going to just trace that all the way back. That should make them all valley folds. All right, so at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this back edge here, and then we're going to fold it right up against here, just before this paper, keeping this crease lined up. So right there, crease is lined up with the crease, right where the papers come together. I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to crease that down. Then I'm going to take this backside here, and I'm going to fold it up against this crease we just made here, or the edge of this paper here, but I'm going to be a little bit back, so I'm not going to be right on top of it. And I'm only going to be back just a little bit. Okay? And then we are going to fold this again. So I'm going to take this backside here, and I'm going to fold this right up here, just back a little bit. The reason we're going just back is because the paper actually folds forward, or it pushes the lower sheet out as we fold this down. Okay, so at this point what we're going to do is we're going to take these tips here, and then we're going to fold them back a little bit. Now this you can adjust to taste, so if you want really narrow ones, you can fold all the way back, or for our traditional ones, we're just going to give it a little fold down here. Okay. Now, to build these sides, what we're going to do is right about here where the paper comes together, I'm going to use my finger to hold that down, lift this up, and I'm going to line up the top part of the sheet here and press that down. Lift that. I'm going to do the same to this side. My finger there, lift this. I'm going to line up that top edge, and then I will press this down. Open that up, we turn that forward. There we have our traditional origami sunglasses.